over 48 hours away from President Trump's joint address to Congress, the first major speech of his second term. Joining us now is New York Congressman Representative Adriano Espaillat, chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. He's joining us now live here in studio. Congressman, thanks for coming on the show tonight. You will deliver the Spanish language response to President Trump's joint address on Tuesday. What are you hoping to hear from the president, and what do you actually expect to hear from him?
Well, first and foremost, Reverend, I'm glad that we're doing it in Spanish as well. There's a big contingency out there in the country, throughout the country, that also wants to be heard. And so I'm glad to have been chosen that voice, right, for that group of people. But let's see what he brings to the table. But I'm not optimistic. I think he will throw red meat at his base. He will continue to be aggressive as he was at the White House with President Zelensky. He will continue to try to push his very aggressive agenda. And of course, he will be beholden to Elon Musk.
And what are you going to say in response? You're going to react to whatever way he goes in his speech?
Well, this is a telenovela. This is like a soap opera between him and Elon Musk. But while people are paying attention to the telenovela, Reverend, a lot of nasty executive orders are being introduced, many of which are being obviously challenged. Proposed cuts for programs like Medicaid and Medicare and food stamps. These are the things that are happening behind the scenes, and we're getting sidetracked into the soapbox, into the soap opera, and forgetting that in the meantime, he's bringing forward very aggressive public policies and agendas, a legislative agenda and budget agendas that will hurt our communities in dramatic ways.
I have to point out the irony. You'll be delivering the Spanish response to President Trump's speech this weekend. He signed an executive order declaring English the official language. For nearly 250 years, this country hasn't needed an official language at a federal level. Well, why is Trump doing this, you think?
Very strange. Everybody knows that we speak English here in America. But I think it would be kind of nice if kids in our schools could learn other languages and be competitive with kids in Europe and in Asia that are really moving forward in a multi-language approach to learning. So to dig yourself in and make believe that we're the only ones in the planet is not just not smart. It leads to a position where we're not going to be competitive with the rest of the world. Let's make sure our kids are proficient in other languages. You know, the world is one word. Technology has brought us together, and it's a big mistake to sort of like dig your head in the sand and make believe that English is the only language in the planet.
You chair the Hispanic Caucus. Trump received a record share of Latino votes for a Republican candidate last year. Now those voters are seeing Trump is not focused on lowering inflation. He's doing tariffs. His administration isn't only deporting criminals. They are targeting children. They want to separate families. What can Democrats offer who are feeling betrayed by this White House?
Well, let me tell you, rude awakening for many of those voters as they see that the price of eggs are going up, 93%. That other goods, emergency goods, Pampers, milk, and other things that people go down to the local bodega to get are shooting up. So his rhetoric that he would fix the economy on day one has collapsed. But on top of that, he's putting forward an agenda that will cut Medicaid and Medicare, vital programs, health care programs for our communities. 524,000 residents in my district alone, Reverend, will be impacted by these cuts in Medicare. 108,000 Medicare patients and over 200,000 households that get food stamps. So that's the bottom line. Forget the soap opera between him and Musk. He is cutting to the bone, and these folks are now realizing they made a big mistake.
I'm out of time, but I have to ask you this, Congressman. Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo announced yesterday he's running for mayor of New York City, adding a new wrinkle into a complex situation with current Mayor Eric Adams, trying to avoid corruption charges, and President Trump trying to impose his political will on the city. What's your take on all this?
Well, I'm going to put together a coalition of leaders, clergy, business leaders, elected officials, community activists, and we're going to listen to all of them. Let's listen to all of the candidates and let's come together and make a collective decision as who we think should be the next leader or the current leader of this great city.
Do you think the fact that he being Trump has talked about just letting ICE go loose and breaking in folks' homes, taking family members, some people here, legal citizens, have been swept up in this? Do you think that that is a concern when you get everybody together in New York? Because the mayor seems to say he's going to work with them. Holman got on television and said, if you don't, and he made an insulting remark. Are you concerned about ICE and the aggressive way President Trump has been talking about people that are legally here but could be caught up in this?
Very concerned. This last week, I met with Leader Jeffries and a family, a man that was a U.S. citizen, both him and his wife. He was stopped on his way to work and questioned for several hours, although he showed a federal ID. He had his federal ID.
Wow.
And he was stopped and questioned and interrogated. He's shaken up. He doesn't want to go back to work. This is happening in America. It's not just violent immigrants that have committed a crime in the past that went to trial, got convicted, and then are deported. This is about U.S. citizens that are being stopped, searched, and questioned. So it's a big concern that this sends out a chilling effect that will hurt the local economy. Small businesses will be hurt. And I think it will provide a negative approach that will keep people in the shadows as opposed to making them be productive members of society.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out. He said we don't have room in the country for immigrants from Latin America and Mexico and Haiti. But then he said to whites in South Africa, because there's a bill there to deal with whites that had taken land under apartheid, he said they're welcome, those whites from South Africa, they're welcome here as refugees. Seems like he can find room when he wants to.
Well, definitely there's profiling going on. This young man that I met felt very strongly that he was profiled. And in fact, a local police officer was able to help him out and instruct the ICE agent that, in fact, this guy was a citizen and he was late to work. So this is what's happening in America. I think they're ramping it up, and I'm very concerned about that.
Congressman Adriano Espillat, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Reb.